kind of a big picture league question, if you don't mind, before these guys start grilling you on the Giants. Big trend lately has been former players being a head coach. You may be a head coach soon one day. What do you think former players as head coaches bring to their teams that other guys don't, who haven't had experience playing in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think back. I've been under a couple, in my time at Northwestern, Coach Fitz being a former player, former Wildcat, and understanding what that is. And I think, and then being in Coach Reed, who's, played college at a high level and obviously coached for a long time, but didn't necessarily play in the league. So, I've kind of had both experiences in my time. And, I don't think there's one right way or the other. I think it's just different experiences. Each coach kind of brings their own touch and feel to how they approach the game. And I think reaching to players, getting them to understand the importance of certain things, whether it's on the field, off the field, the fundamental part of it, just sharing your experiences. I think for me, that's been probably the coolest thing is, being in those same seats with the guys, being in the locker room with the guys, being able to relate to the players and understand what they're going through. And then, it's not any secret, this time of year right now when cuts are kind of going down, I've been in those positions. I've sat there, I've been cut before a number of times, and I've also been part of it where I made the team, so I can share that and understand what the players are going through. But those have been my experiences as a coach, as a player. I think there's no right or wrong way to it. It's just what you bring to the table as a person.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Neil Best.
Obviously, from what we've been able to see, your offensive line has looked, pretty good in these preseason games. What have you seen from them, and how is it harder or easier with offensive lines to draw conclusions from preseason games than, compared to the skill position guys? What do you think of what you've seen so far?
Well, it's everything certainly starts up front in the run, the pass game, the screen game, everything. And Carm and James have done a really good job of getting that group together, getting everyone on the same page, and working its way inside out, right? From the center to the guards, to the tackles, to the tight ends being an extension of that run game and the pass game, the running backs, the receivers. So we talk about it a lot being an 11-man operation, but it starts with the guys up front. The coaches are an extension of that, and then all the skill groups, making sure we're all on the same page. And that's just part of really what we honed down this offseason, was making sure the language that we're using in the huddle, the language that we're using at the line of scrimmage, it all means something. And so what is that telling the players, and how to operate, how to execute their position and role? And so I think it's been really good, and I think you're seeing it. The players are buying into it, and they're doing well.
Is it any harder with linemen, to tell what's going on in a preseason game compared to other positions, or is it just kind of a similar judgment?
No, you certainly get a feel for it as a play caller. You see that they're handling it. There's not a whole lot of pressure at some, in some points. And so you get a feel for how the rush is going, how the O-line's kind of leaning on the defensive line, what kind of movement they're getting at the line of scrimmage. So that's been really productive and really good this preseason and through camp.
Thanks.
Evan Barnes.
Hey, Mike, how we doing?
Great.
All right, 2 questions for you. One, how would you assess Jackson Duty's first 2 preseason games as far as what you liked about what he's done so far?
Yeah, I think Jackson's been really good with the opportunities he's had in terms of the run game, the pass game, obviously having some production downfield. I think he's just really starting to put together some of the stuff on the offense in terms of just the plays, right? Just understanding what we're trying to do on offense, and just really, he's done a great job with the leadership part of that and making sure the guys are in the right spot. He's working with guys, in that third group who would maybe be young players, other rookies alongside of him, other veterans that play a lot of football as well. So he's doing a great job just kind of leading the group. And again, we're talking about 11-man operation. He's leaning on those veterans. He's leaning on some of the older guys in the room and on that offensive line that have done it and played well. And then he's taking it to the next level.
All right, my second question, not quarterback related. We saw Elijah Chapman play fullback. We asked Dave kind of how you guys, wanted to use him in that role. Just what did you see when you looked at Chat's tape from running fullback that made you think, hey, we can incorporate this in the offense this season?
He did it in college. We went back into the archives and watched some of the stuff he did in college. And I think for Chat, just his ability to be another dynamic player like he is on defense, we felt, and we brought it up to the staff and Dave's and had an idea about maybe introducing him as a fullback and seeing what that looked like. So, no better time in the preseason to kind of test it out before the bright lights. So, we wanted to see what it looked like, and I thought he did a really nice job jumping in there.
We saw, I think Dave also said that he's been breaking his helmet in practice or in games when he's hitting those blocks. Is that something you like seeing from him? Just take to it and be that physical on offense?
Yeah, the physicality, you see it on defense. And so it was cool to see it translate on the offensive side and him go stick his face in a block. And yeah, he's broken a couple face masks over the course of training camp. So he's doing a great job though. It's really cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Charlotte Carroll.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hi, Charlotte.
With Malik not out there the last 2 games, what have you seen from how the offense is running kind of without him there as a focal point?
Yeah, I mean, the next man up. That's really been our mentality as an offensive unit, whether at any position really. So, if some guy's not available, then the next guy's got to step up into that role. And that's our job as a coaching staff, is to make sure we put the right guys in the right spots, regardless of the position groups, and just being flexible with how we want to approach each game. And I know in the preseason, you're kind of rolling through the different groups, the first group, the second group, the third group. So you're not thinking of it like on a 60 play or a whole game, I would say, kind of volume, but you still have to work through those substitutions and make sure everyone kind of knows their different roles and different spots that they could be in.
We'll take 3 more. Dan Duggan.
Hey, Mike, just
Hey,
curious
Dan.
why taking the calling players on the sideline and how that's gone.
Yeah, just different. Just wanted to test it out, be down with the group. You're on the field for practice, and you're talking with the guys, you're communicating, and so I think it was just a cool transition. And just me and Dave just talking about it, wanted to try it out for the preseason.
So did you know if you're going to continue doing that, or is this still up in the air?
We're still going to evaluate it. We still got one more preseason game left, so we'll evaluate it and talk through it and see what is best for the team.
Gotcha. And then I have a bigger picture question from your past. Like, obviously, Mahomes sitting that rookie year, like, that's the gold standard of, like, why you should sit a guy. But you were there. Like, what were the benefits of him sitting? Or would he, if he started week 1, would he have been as good as he become? You know what I mean? Like, was there benefits that you saw those weeks where he wasn't playing?
Yeah, I think every quarterback's different. You see guys that play week 1 or day 1 starter, like Jaden Daniels, a guy like that last year, it was day 1. He was the first guy in. But then, other players have different trajectories and different, stories, right? So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think you got to understand the guy. I think you got to understand where your team's at. I think you got to understand, how fast of a learner he is or where he's at in his kind of the profile of the player and where the offense is and what you can do with the offense. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think you just have a plan for what you want to do, and then just kind of work through it from there and adjust along the way. There's no like cookie cutter way of doing it. Just be flexible with it. Try to work through each of those growth periods. You get through the first part of you getting them into rookie minicamp, right? And you're working through like, all right, here's this like the NFL game. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it sounds like. And then you get to the phases and OTAs, and you get through training camp. Now you're in the preseason. Now everything kind of ramps up a little bit faster, kind of each level you go through. And that'll happen the same way in the season. So I think preparing those guys as much as you can, whether it's a quarterback or any rookie young player, as long as you kind of have a plan and you give them the opportunity to kind of see it and make mistakes and go through those learning phases, I think that's where you kind of see the best player show up. Thanks.
Jared Schwartz.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, Jared.
Just with Jackson, how has the communication been in terms of relaying the plays to him, play by play, and how different do you have to communicate plays with him than a veteran like Russ?
We talk about a lot in the quarterback room of how he wants to hear certain things. Guys have certain preferences. Maybe they want, hey, give me a reminder on this, give me a reminder on that. Everyone's a little bit different. Really, all 4 guys are different. So that's just part of that open lines of communication between myself and the quarterback room. And, in a given play, how we're talking it, whether it's on the field and I'm giving to him the headset, or we come off on the sideline and we're looking at the pictures and getting ready for the next series of things that I'm thinking through. So, I wouldn't say it's any different than anywhere else I've been. It's just about kind of learning that player and learning what he likes and that feedback loop being connected with him doing the same to me. Thanks.
Last one, Brian Dunleavy.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
it almost felt like you guys were running two different playbooks the other night, like what you were doing with Russ, and then more of a college-y up-tempo style with Jackson. Is that situational? Is that playing to each guy's strengths? Are we making too much of it, or is it really almost two different offenses when you have a guy with Russ's strengths and experience versus a guy with Jackson's strength and inexperience?
I'd say I think you're making a little bit too much of it, but I mean, I think it was we did do two different things with each quarterback. You know, we did up tempo with Jameis and DeVito as well. I just think we were trying to get a couple of things worked on. I think if Russ plays a little bit longer in that game, we're probably getting into the the up tempo stuff as well. So I don't think it was anything like specific for the guys. We had a plan that we were going to kind of work that. It's just the way that the game went. We stuck with it a little bit longer than maybe we were thinking, and just kind of was working. So we were just rolling with it. And I think the guys handled it really well. You know, it's not easy with those 12, 13 play drives of up tempo fast, but you're pushing the defense, you're pushing yourself mentally, you're getting tired. But I thought the guys did a really nice job, particularly when you get in those long drives down in the red zone when you're gassed and you're just like, now they go and execute at a high level. It was pretty cool to see. But based on the quarterbacks, I think we've always kind of had that package in our back pocket. We can use it whenever we feel like it. But, you know, I think early in the game, we're trying to get a couple things accomplished and seen. And then as the game kind of developed, we just jumped into it.
And I feel like every coach I've ever talked to starts out his career saying, like, I'm going to adjust my system to my players' strengths. And then, like, adversity hits or whatever. And then a lot of people end up trying to do, like, revert to what they know and what they've done, and like sometimes you end up fitting a square peg into a round hole. How important is it with Jackson, especially a quarterback, a rookie quarterback, for you guys to adjust to what he does?
That's just part of the process. It's learning every player, whether it's Jackson or another rookie or even Russ. I mean, a veteran, a longtime veteran. You want to learn those guys. What do they do best, and what do they do? What do they do really well that maybe they haven't done a lot of in their career that we know they can do well? Like Russ is really good in the 2-minute drill. Historically, he has been. So like that's no huddle. That's tempo. That's not to say he hasn't done that a whole lot in his career, but I think he'd be good at it. So, you know, then maybe that aspect of it shows up and using those other guys in different spots. But, you know, when you talk about Russ as a veteran guy, being able to do all, and he can really do anything, I think, and, you know, in my heart, I think he can do anything. And then, you know, a young guy like Jackson jumping in, he's learning the NFL game, you know, maybe a little bit more shotgun than he has been under center. And that's fine. Like that's normal, but he's got plenty of work under center. He had it all spring and all training camp. And so it's not that he can't do it. It's just about how much do you want to do. And in certain plays may marry up with certain things differently. But, you know, I don't see putting really any restrictions on the quarterback room at this point.